So Fox Business host Neil Cavuto tried to take on Tulsi Gabbard over her tweet calling Trump Saudi Arabia's bitch. And in the process, Cavuto just came across as incredibly ignorant of global politics.
All right, the president has already ordered increased sanctions following that attack that the Iranians were now apparently behind, at least our intelligence says that, on Saudi Arabia. Democratic presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard, though, wonders whether the president is doing our country's bidding or Saudi Arabia's. It's hard to say. Congressman, very good to have you.
Thanks, Neil. It's good to see you.
What surprised folks is the degree to which you hammered that charge at the president, which you said you're not our pimp. What did you mean by that?
Well, let's just make sure that we're on the same page here and recognize the context of what I was responding to that the president tweeted out. And I just want to read you what he said in that tweet, saying that, quote, "We're waiting to hear from the kingdom as to who they believe was the cause of this attack and under what terms we would proceed." Look, Neil, I'm a soldier, and I took an oath as a soldier as well as a member of Congress to support and defend our Constitution of the United States, to serve the American people, and to it's a huge disgrace to hear our commander-in-chief basically put us in a position, put us, the American people, our men and women in uniform, our military assets, in a position where we are servants of the Saudi kingdom, standing by and awaiting their orders on how we should proceed. This is an outrageous giving away of our sovereignty.
I understand what you're saying, but was he saying that as much as, they're looking into this, they're not marching orders here, they're saying they're trying to ascertain who was behind that attack, and that is what I think he was waiting on.
Well, if Trump didn't mean what he said when he tweeted that out, that, we've got to see under what terms we would proceed, then he needs to clarify what he said and actually say what he meant. He's the president of the United States. He's the commander-in-chief of the strongest military in the world. And I think he really needs to be clear. So far, and this was said a couple of days ago, right, he has not issued any kind of clarification. And so all we can presume is that he said what he meant in that tweet.
All right. He has not responded to your allegations or even tweeted a response. But what you did say is, I've never engaged in hateful rhetoric against you or your family, never will. But you're offering our military assets to the dictator of Saudi Arabia to use as he sees fit is a betrayal of my brother and sisters in uniform who are ready to give our lives for our country, not the Islamist dictator of Saudi Arabia. The question I have for you then, Congresswoman, if you become president of the United States and Saudi Arabia were attacked like it was here and apparently by Iran, would you not intervene?
I would do what's in the best interest of our country.
So President Tulsi Gabbard would see Saudi Arabia as a bigger threat to our country than Iran.
What I would like to see is Saudi Arabia ending their support for al-Qaeda, terrorist groups like al-Qaeda, who pose a threat to the American people.
That's not what I asked.
I know, you're turning my words around. You're turning my words around.
I want to just be very clear. But you have a higher opinion of Iran than you do Saudi Arabia.
No, that's not at all what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm focused on how we can best keep the American people safe, on how we can make sure that we have our national security intact.
And the Saudis are a bigger threat. The Saudis are a bigger threat to that safety than Iran. I just want to be clear.
The Saudis are directly supporting the very terrorist group that attacked us on 9/11 and that continue to pose a threat to the American people today.
So if the president were to take action against Iran, with or without Saudi intelligence or help, that would be a bad move in your eyes.
That would be a very bad move. It would not serve the interests of the United States. It would cost thousands more of my brothers and sisters in uniform their lives. It would cost us as taxpayers trillions of dollars more. It would make the Iraq war that I served in look like a picnic compared to the cost and the consequence and the devastation that would come about as a result of that war. What to speak of the fact that it would be unconstitutional, given the president would do that without that authority coming from Congress.
She obliterated him there. Listen, in order to be a host on one of these main networks, you have to be professionally obtuse. That's what that is. He was like, "Ma'am, are you saying that Saudi Arabia is worse than Iran?" Yeah. And she's like, more or less, she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, oh, goodness me. Yeah, dude, for the exact reason she said. Saudi Arabia is actively and directly supporting al-Qaeda. Again, I feel like very, very basic distinctions are not made in mainstream media. So, for example, Iran, the government of Iran is not good. Nobody's saying the government of Iran is good. What they are is a Shia theocracy. Now, again, say what you want about them, and I got a million critiques of the Iranian government. They are not funding and supporting Al-Qaeda. They are not attacking the West. They're just not. They're just not. The people who are attacking the West, Al-Qaeda and ISIS, they are Sunni fundamentalists. They are Salafist. So that's not like this part is not debatable. This part is not up in the air. So Iran poses no threat to the United States of America. Saudi Arabia, through their proxies of Al-Qaeda and other jihadist groups that they're continually funding both in Yemen and in Syria, they are a threat. 15 of the 19 hijackers on 9/11 came from Saudi Arabia. And Neil Cavuto's like, oh, are you saying Saudi Arabia is a bigger threat than Iran? Yes, they're the actual number one state sponsor of terrorism. Well, there's an argument to be made that we are. But if anything else, it's them. Okay, this idea that Iran, and you hear this all the time in mainstream circles, Iran is the number one state sponsor of terrorism. That's not true. It's not even close to true. And it's just, we want to do regime change there, so you get to ramp up propaganda and make it as extreme as possible. It's the same reason, by the way, why they were going nuts over Venezuela and saying that, and they were saying this on Fox News recently quite a bit, that Maduro and Venezuela are housing ISIS and working with ISIS or something. Why? Because if you're an official U.S. state enemy, so Iran and Venezuela are two perfect examples, North Korea is another one, the media is allowed to say whatever the fuck they want against you, and there's no pushback, because you're already an official state enemy. So when somebody like me comes along and goes, hey man, that's not quite true, what's the thing that they say back immediately? Oh, I guess so you like Iran? You like dictators? You like North Korea? You like Venezuela? Is that what it is? You're pro-Maduro, aren't you? You're pro-Maduro. So, but see, here's the thing. When people try to hit me with that, I don't give a fuck what they say about me. That's why this show exists. I'll tell you the truth no matter what. But other people in mainstream circles, they don't want to be tarred with that. They don't want to get the scarlet letter of like, oh, we think you're pro-fucking Iran or North Korea or Venezuela or whatever the fuck it might be. So people don't push back. Look how viciously she gets smeared for stating obvious things. Anybody who knows politics and is willing to be minimally honest about it will tell you, of course Saudi Arabia is a bigger threat than Iran. Where's the debate? So I think that was awesome. And I also think Neil Cavuto's playing dumb on purpose when he's acting like, well, I don't think Trump was really saying that he was going to do whatever Saudi Arabia wants. That's what the tweet says. Waiting for verification, locked and loaded. Like the whole point is, I'm waiting to hear what we should do next. That's exactly what he was saying. Now, you could say, hey, he still gives himself a potential veto card to say, I don't want to do it. And obviously that is the case because he didn't attack. What he did is he just increased sanctions again on Iran. But what he said was crystal clear, and it does imply, like, yeah, I'm kind of waiting for my boss to get back to me. And, you know, we got two bosses. We got Mohammed bin Salman. We got the prince, Mohammed bin Salman, and we got Netanyahu. Those are the ones who, oh, and by the way, there was just a wee election in Israel, and he's in a wee bit of trouble if I don't say so myself. They're deadlocked. It's super tight. So he might not be prime minister, but we'll see. Anyway, Neil Cavuto, you're a mess. You're a joke. Tulsi, the advice I would give to Tulsi is, because there was a brief moment. She did a great job there, okay? But here's my advice to her. There are certain times when if you push back enough on somebody, even somebody who's really intelligent and knows what they're talking about, usually people have a little brief moment of like, am I crazy? Like, am I the one that's crazy here? And there was a brief moment there with Tulsi where I got that sense where she was almost like, am I the crazy one here? What I would say to her is, no, you go in the other direction. You double down, you triple down, and also get arrogant about it. That's what I would do in that situation. Like, I would almost start berating him for being so obtuse. Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd be like, oh, so you think Iran did 9/11? Is that what you think? So in a situation like this, actually the way you make headlines in a situation like this is you flip it back on him 100% because he's so wrong. So wrong. But he's acting like, oh, ma'am, did you really go there? So you gotta, pedal to the metal in this situation and you press back on him and then you make headlines again, because she made headlines for the Trump is Saudi Arabia's bitch thing, but then you make headlines again when you school him. Now, again, she did a really good job here and she schooled him, but I'm just saying I would have put the pedal to the metal a little more and I wouldn't have had that flash of like, wait, am I the crazy one? No, I would have went for his jugular. So, but either way, it was a good job here. And this is something all the Democrats should jump on board with. He is Saudi Arabia's bitch. He is doing their bidding. And there's also a conversation to be had. It's not just for geopolitical reasons. It's not just for that. That's part of it. He's partly their bitch because that's the way that, we've had this long-standing deal with them and they're an ally of ours. But it's also because they're paying him massive amounts of money at his hotel. It's true. So violation of the Emoluments Clause, he's massively corrupt. If it was Hillary Clinton, like they did with the Clinton Foundation, taking money from all these foreign governments and then doing favors for them, everybody points it out. Goes, look at that. Look, she's corrupt. Look what they're doing. It's the same thing with Trump. Taking so much money from the Saudi government and then doing favors for them. I'm supposed to believe that doesn't affect you. Of course it affects you. You're human. The same way it affected Hillary and Bill Clinton, it affects you. So all this stuff is incredibly relevant and it needs to be talked about more.